Hey everybody, welcome to one more round with Josh Norris. Today I'm very excited to have my friend Vince Licata here, owner of Liberty Staffing USA. So Vince started in staffing business in 1996 in Florida at Spartan Staffing. After 7 years, he decided to exit Spartan and go out on his own to start multiple staffing brands. In 2006, he purchased a franchisor company and had franchisees all across the country. They were acquired in 2008 by Corporate Resource Services. In 2011, he went on to start Liberty Staffing USA, which is still operational and thriving today. So, welcome, Vince. Glad to have you, man.
Thank you.
I haven't seen you in a while.
Yeah, I haven't seen you either.
Yeah, somebody had medical problems.
Yeah, so what's going on?
No, some heart stuff, but it's getting better. Yeah, so you've been in the business since '96. Did you always want to get into staffing? What made you get into the staffing business?
No, God, no. Had no idea what it was, actually. I originally started out in a small business opportunity with a gentleman in Florida that we were actually doing security alarms at the time, and the big idea was to really compete with ADT, sorry.
Okay.
And I met a guy just taught me a little bit about security alarms and systems and how simple it is that, when someone actually trips a security alarm, it automatically triggers a phone call, right, to a call center. And then that call center calls the police. And it was just three of us. One was the tech. One was kind of, I guess, the brains of the operation. Daryl Crimmins, never forget his name. And then, I was kind of the gung-ho guy. And so we started a small business. My job was to go door to door and sell security alarms and security packages to people. And, we named it GTM. And after 20,000 users, we could actually become part of the phone bill with GTE, and the big deal, at the end to sell it. So it all sounded great. But I didn't have a good partner at the time. I had nothing in writing. It was all a handshake. I knew nothing about business, and I took a loan out, put $10,000 in the company. I sold all day, bringing on accounts. Tech goes out, turns it over, because all you do with existing alarms is change the phone number.
Yeah.
Contract, change the phone number, now calls our call center. And I would sleep at the call center at night and answer the phone. Same guy selling the alarms.
No kidding.
Yeah, and started digging through some stuff and realized my partner wasn't who he said he was. And so we had some problems, and turned out there was no money left. He didn't put any money in the account. He swiped it all out and had to walk away. And I was at the time saying, I'm going to move back to Long Island and start this business. I believe in this. We can compete with ADT. We can sell alarm monitoring for $10 versus $24 what they were selling it for. But my wife turned around, truth be told, and said, I don't want to go back and live with your father. I don't want to go to Long Island, blah, 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 find a job. So went through the classified, circled an ad. It was a manager trainee, 4-year bachelor degree, no clue what it was. Went in for an interview, and I told him, I said, I'm driving back up to New York tonight, and you got to make me a good offer, for me to stay here in Florida, whatever. And quick 3 interviews, same day, HR, VP, president. Drove up, got to Maryland, and my father-in-law was there, and he received the fax offer, the old rollout offer, and it was $28,800. And I was, oh my God! I got
all the money in the world at that time, right?
Got to take this job. So it was a classified ad, and I probably still have the ad today. And went in for an interview. Went in first day to start. They give you a pager. They give you written directions on where the office is and keys. Went to the office, showed up, sitting in the parking lot, 5:15 a.m. and basically it looks like a bunch of homeless people out front. I'm waiting. No one showed up. So around 5:30, one of the regulars came over and said, "Hey, you're the new manager." I said, "Yeah." He said, you better open the door. I said, well, I'm waiting for the manager to come and train me. He said, no one's coming to train you. We've been through about 5 or 6. So, open the door, go in, turn the lights on. No idea what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And one of the guys, Mike Maloney, won't forget him either. This 1996, June. He said, you don't know what you're doing. I said, I have no idea. He said, well, let me come behind a counter, and there's work tickets and, different job sites and people's names. And, and he said, you want to put a car here because this is all the way down in Tierra Verde, and there's 4 guys, and each guy kicks in $2 gas, and that's called dispatching. Whoever shows up to the day labor hall in the morning, you have all these open job orders, and you do your best to put the best people in the best jobs. And you shut the office, and you throw them in the car, and you get them there, and all those things. But it was cool. I loved it. I was out on the road and visiting job sites, and but I didn't think it would last. I said, staffing, I don't get it. People need jobs. People are hiring people. Why do they need me? This business is never going to last. Now it's probably, I think it's about $100 billion business right now.
Wow.
Maybe more.
So what is it about a staffing company? Like, why would people use it more so than going to classifieds or today's internet, to look for jobs?
A lot of the folks from the entry-level day labor standpoint, these are people that came from trailer parks. Some were homeless and all that jazz, staying in soup kitchens. They don't have the money and the means to print a resume and go door to door and fill out applications. So what happens is, and it really plays into today, with as busy as people are, they can't miss a day of work, and so they really rely on you. You become their go-to person, and you're going to find them a job, and they become really, I want to say, dependent on you. You become like their parent. We used to open up the labor halls and turn on ESPN and put coffee on and all that stuff. It's the same thing today. When these people come here looking for work, they know they can come to a staffing agency, and a staffing agency has maybe 15 different jobs or 10 or whatever with different clients, and they can try it out. Yeah. They don't like it, they can do something else, and so it's a need. It's you can't get around it. Yeah. And on the employer side, it makes it a lot easier, because if you say, okay, Josh, I need 10 production workers, and Josh knows how to pick production workers, you're going to cut down on my time of interviewing and background and screening and all that stuff.
That's awesome.
Huge need.
You learned the business, and it sounds like you really enjoyed it. What made you to go out and start your own business? You've already had one with the security company. Are you just serial entrepreneurial like? Have you always been like that?
I don't know. The older you get, you slow down a little bit. But back then, yeah, full of piss and vinegar, and really, wanted my own business. But it's always about people you work for. You think you can do a better job, and you think, they're making big mistakes, and they don't get it. And so when I worked in the branch, rolled up the sleeves, dealt with the workers, then turn around and deal with corporate, you realize these people don't know what this job is. They couldn't do this job, and they made a lot of bad decisions, and it didn't make sense. So yeah, you get to a point where you say, I could do this on my own. I've got the relationships with the customers. The customers like me. I'm the breadwinner. I'm the franchise player. Yeah, you want to go out and do it on your own. And at the time, they were popping up left and right. I mean, once a week you can see a new staffing company or a labor hall pop up. It's not that easy today, but back in the day it was.
And was it scary going out on your own completely? Because this time, did you have partners or no partners this time?
No, I was on my own. It was horrifying. I went in and I had my resignation letter in my pocket. I had a little bit of phantom stock equity at the time. I had some, decent advisors, smart people around me, no money, but I could bring the business. And so I went in to visit the owner. He was going to sell to Labor Ready, True Blue at the time. And I didn't want to be part of it. I didn't want to be part of a big company and just be a number, so to speak. I wanted to do it on my own. So, I said, Rob, I'm going to leave. I'm going to turn in my notice. And he turned around. I remember him turning around to his computer. He was a CPA, and, just CPAs end up in the business because it's a money business. And he started writing up my resignation. I said, Rob, here's my resignation. And I know that that took him by surprise. But yeah, I went home, told my wife I left my job,
Oh.
and that didn't go over very well, let's just say. And started from nothing, started from absolutely nothing, big debt, owed money, took equity out of the house. And it's a tough business because the more you bill, the less cash you have. And it was pretty scary, but I had set it up well enough.
Yeah. Do you mean like the margins get thinner the bigger the billing, or what do you mean?
Well, you're fronting cash constantly. So if you invoice let's just say you invoice $40,000 in a week, you're given 30 days terms to all your clients if they pay at 30 days.
Right.
So now you're out, let's say you do 40,000 a week for 30 days, you're out 160,000. You've already paid the workers. They've cashed their checks. You've paid the workers' comp. You're going to pay the payroll taxes. You never get away with payroll taxes. And then you got to pay all your internal staff, and your rents and your electric. So 30 days into it, if you're fortunate enough to bill $40,000 a week and your margins are 15%, do the math. I mean, that's $6,000 a week you're, quote, making, before interest. You're not making $6,000 a week. But as you get to the end of 30 days, let's say your gross margin's 24 grand, but you're out almost $200,000. You grow to 50,000 a week. The next month you're in deeper, and so it actually takes years to get cash flow positive in staffing.
Wow.
Years. You're leveraged, and if you're a bad debt away, one client doesn't pay you, you default on your bank line, you're out of business. You have a couple of bad injuries where comp drops you, you're out of business.
Wow. So you have all these little landmines that can constantly happen. And, I guess I've known you for a couple of years now, and 2.5 years, because we have offices right next to each other here. And I've seen you on the phone, and you seem to be always on the phone. Are those fires putting out, those customers, are those, what are you dealing with?
All of the above. I mean, it's people managing people managing people. And the one thing, when I went out on my own, it was, I love this. I love this. I love the people. I love going out, visiting the clients. It's a rush. These people, I don't want to say, you just feel like you're needed, and people need you and all that. And then you get into a whole nother aspect of the business, which is the, quote, back office, and negotiating work comp, and, dealing with bad debt and collections and general liability and lawsuits. I mean, the lawsuits that would show up at our front door, it was unbelievable. I mean, you get sued, over and over and over. And so you fall in love with that part, but then you kind of gravitate into the back part, and then you realize it's people managing people managing people.
Right.
And you have, the amount of competencies, the core competencies you have to have, it's unbelievable. You got to be able to be a finance person, project cash flows, balance sheets, read P&Ls, keep people happy, deal with customer issues, deal with lawsuits, negotiate contracts. Never ending. So the phone is a problem, and I tell people I talk for a living. I'm sick of hearing myself talk. But that's it. It's always staying a couple of steps ahead and working the phones constantly, because you have people all over the country, and if you don't manage the morale, you'll lose them.
Right. Yeah, that's it's crazy. So I mean, you have all this stuff. How do you deal with like all the pressure, the issues, and all that kind of stuff? Is it something you've learned over the years? Something you do specifically?
It used to roll off me like nothing. It was just part of it, and now I'm trying to tone it down a little bit.
Yeah.
Just the pressure. Just slow down, delegate. But dealing with the pressure, I don't know if I do it that well. I used to have a bad temper, and we were just watching a home video the other day. It's a little embarrassing in the 90s, but my wife's going out with the video camera, and there's a hole in the door, and she said, "Oh, no, that's Vincent. He got mad at a customer today." So yeah, a lot of stress, a lot of pressure. Try to exercise.
Mm-hmm.
Now, drink beer. Play sports, go for a run,
Yeah.
whatever. We had 3 kids going through all this, and it's like a blur.
Did you have kids when you started at all?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
geez.
96. I had 2 kids.
Wow. So
2 kids. What's today's date? June 17th?
Yeah, 17.
I started 26 years ago today.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I still have the personnel file, but today is the first day of my 27th year in the business, and my daughter was born yesterday. She was 1. My 3rd child was born. She was 1 year old. I was in it for 1 year.
Wow. So you
time. So yeah, 2 kids.
really took some risks then. When you started your own business, how many kids did you have at the time?
2.
2. Yeah. So and your wife didn't know that you were losing your job. Did you? Well, you probably.
It was a good job and benefits and everything, and I just said I'm going. I walked out. I'd planned, I'd done some planning, but not easy for folks to understand. It was
right.
It wasn't a lot of support at the time.
I'm sure. Yeah. Now everybody looks back like, oh man, I remember I supported you the whole time. Sure.
Yeah, and to the brink, several times. Probably the furthest in debt. And we just did this not too long ago with the Liberty piece. We were over $8 million in the red. And that's how far you go in debt. And I remember talking to my CPA, and I said, God, Bill, I mean, we're growing, we're blah blah blah, we're doing great. The numbers look great on paper. We have no money in the bank. I got to borrow more money. And I remember he kind of slammed the door. He's an old guy. I don't know, can you curse on these podcasts?
Yeah.
And he said,
Fuck.
You want to know how to make some money and put some cash in your pocket? I said, yeah, would you tell me? Like a stupid young kid.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, stop fucking growing.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't understand. What do you mean, stop?
I get it.
I don't get stop growing.
Yeah, no, yeah.
And he opened up the dry erase, and he just started laying it out, and I said, holy flipping shit. I mean, I don't want to grow anymore. That's it. We're not opening up any more branches. We're going to retract and let the tail catch up and start to make some cash because, you learn a lot.
That's really good advice, actually, especially as I'm like envisioning what you're talking about with new customer comes in, now more liability, more money goes out, and it's like this cycle. But if you keep being in all these new businesses, then it's like, well, when do I ever get the money? You
never think you're going to get there.
Yeah.
And then it's the old, the perpetual, most small businesses are there to create themselves a job.
Mm-hmm.
And in between, I took a little break for about a year on my non-compete back in 2011 to 2012. I opened a deli, Central Park Deli and Grill, and I thought I can do anything.
Yeah.
Whatever business I touch is going to be gold. It was, was the attitude at the time. And, I ran this thing right into the ground in about 10 months.
Yeah?
Yeah, lost about $130,000 in 10 months. And I was delivering a sandwich to somebody, and this lady went off on me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, tell your owner this deli sucks, and da-da-da-da-da. And I'm not even going to give you a tip. And I said some things I probably shouldn't have said, but I said, that's it. I'm not, I need to go back to staffing.
Yeah.
And at the time I was in the deli, I got a lot of phone calls from people that had worked for me in the past and said, hey, would you help me open a branch? And why don't we get back into this? We had a good company. And then that's when I, decided I'm going to go back into business and started Liberty Staffing.
Okay. So what was it like? Because you sold, after you left, you went on your own. You started multiple different brands in the staffing company. Or in the staffing business. Then you purchased a franchisor, which meant you have franchisees everywhere. You sold all that. What was that like? Were you always looking to sell?
No, quite frankly, I went out on my own, grabbed some on-sites, which is the quickest bang for your buck. Concentration of people, cash flow, all that. Then started getting a little wild. I started Work Depot USA was one of the brands, and my thought was to approach Home Depot where you have the contractor pickup piece. Have a staffing office there. Contractor picks up lumber, supplies, grabs a couple of workers, and they're out of there. So Work Depot USA was day labor. Titan was my light industrial. Citrus Staffing was my on-site. We had Medical Staffing Association of America, MSAA, which was all non-invasive. Then I bought Personet, which was the franchisees throughout the country. Then we started the payroll company, and it got out of control, Josh. Yeah, it got out of control, and it was almost too much. It's like focus on something. So I just got approached at the end of 2007. I decided, let me put this thing on the market because I need bigger help. I need a bigger company. We need deeper pockets to kind of see the visions and help me. I can't do it all myself.
You feel like you're in a rowboat trying to row in a whale type of thing all the time?
Just it's too many focuses. Not enough focus and too many different, shotgun shells going out. So, and at the time, the economy was kind of rattling, and I got a call from a guy up in New York, Joe Casera, I'll never forget him, and I want to buy your business. He was a real wise guy type, and he came down, and we hit it off, and they made a pretty big cash offer, and it was like, they're gonna buy this shit? You want to buy this? Are you sure? And you're going through due diligence, and they send down, a family accountant to go through all your books. He didn't know what the hell he was doing, and I could tell, but it was a show. And it was like, this is gonna close, and then you get the draft documents, and then you're nervous. You're at the attorney's office. The wire hit, and the wire hit, and I was like, oh my God. People bought this, and that was March 3rd of 2008. And so we sold to they were a public firm out of New York, and it wasn't fun. They came in and started getting rid of people and cutting the fat and the biggest salaries, and I tried to tell them, I said, you can cut some fat, but if you use a hatchet and you hit some muscle and bone, you're not going to know it right now. You're going to see your numbers, and you're going to make more money over the next few weeks. But 6, 8, 10 months down the road, your business is going to be gone. And they just didn't listen. Several family and friends were in positions they shouldn't have been. A big corporate office on Wall Street. But it was great, to answer your question, to get it sold, actually put cash in the bank, and say, okay, life's good.
What was that like? Because obviously, you talked about, and I know I've owned a business for a long time too. Sometimes, like, gosh, dang, man, you just payroll and all this stuff, and it's like, I haven't made much money for a while, but now you're sitting on a lump sum, which is pretty good. You're comfortable. What went through your mind?
At the time, fat, dumb, and happy. Pissing money away left and right. Bought a couple houses up in North Carolina, and all those things. Was not planning for the long term, just running with it. So at the time when the deal happened, it was great, but after the ink dried and they started treating everybody like shit, to be frank, and seeing how unhappy everybody was, it inspired me to say, I don't want to be here. And at some point I may want to do this again. I had felt I was done with the business in 2011. I resigned in 2011. In 2015, the writing was on the wall. When an owner's driving around in the Bentley and they've got, private charter jets and they got a big corporate office and they put on a $1 million Christmas party.
Oh my gosh.
In New York City. And I attended it, and you sit there and you say, something's wrong, because in staffing you don't make that kind of money. I left in 2011 after I received my last note payment and my contract was up to sit out the 1-year non-compete. Went into the restaurant business, as I mentioned. In 2015, they were public, CRS. They had reached $1 billion in sales. I felt I was a big part of it. In March of 2008, when they bought me, I mean, the ink dried, the money hit the bank, and then the economy collapsed. And it was perfect timing to get out.
Yeah.
It was right before the collapse. And what happened was in that collapse is I knew a lot of staffing firms. They were in big trouble because you normally take out a loan on your home, take out, as a staffing company owner, take out an equity loan on your home, you leverage up your home, you put it in the business, housing market collapses, your note's called. And so there were dozens, literally dozens of staffing companies that went belly up overnight. We scooped them all up. They scooped them up, and they got to $1 billion in sales pretty quickly in 2015. And I had stock, a lot of stock, you know, a lot of stock. And you're saying, oh my God, $4 a share, $6 a share. And I remember calling my broker saying, should I put a stop on this thing? I have millions of dollars in the bank right now. No, they just got listed on the NASDAQ. I said, all right. A couple days later, they filed bankruptcy.
Oh.
Chapter, was it chapter 13 when you
Yeah, 13.
$82 million in payroll taxes they owed, and lost everything overnight.
Gosh, dang.
That same company that bought me, and I bought the stock, back to square one.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's, so what did you learn up to that point before you started again in 2015? Because it seems like you seemed like a planner to me, but what you just told me is you just kind of ran by the seat of your pants for a long time.
I wouldn't call me a planner until now.
But now, like, how'd you make that adjustment?
Good question.
It's just wisdom, getting older?
You know, you lost it all. And the deli lost my ass. I remember I had a certain amount of cash in my safe, burnt through all of it. And I just learned at the time, you go to basics. What are you good at?
Yeah.
What do you know how to do? What are you good at? You're good at staffing. You're good at going out and calling clients and attracting talent and treating people well. So I had to. It was survival. It was either go get a job or start over. And so I sat in my backyard. It was 4th of July, and that's hence Liberty Staffing USA. And I just started making a list of, you think about staffing companies, and everybody from one staffing company leaves to go to another staffing company. I said to myself, if you just retain the talent, treat people right, give them the freedom. Don't be so overbearing and greedy, really. That's what I learned. I saw how they came in and treated people like crap and had no respect for people and bought people's companies. I can remember sitting in their corporate office and their COO smoking a cigarette, and I said, "What do you can't smoke in the office?" This was New York City. He said, I do whatever the fuck I want. And I was like, okay. Anyway, what
kind of message does that give your people?
Yeah, I said, let's jump on the phone with this acquisition, bring them on board, and he's got on the phone with them, and we'll give you benefits, we'll give you 401k, we'll give you all that stuff. Hung up the phone, I said, Jimmy, awesome. These people are going to be so happy. They're a little older in life. They need their health benefits. You just made their day. He said, once the deal closes, they'll be out of here. And I said, what? He said, we tell them whatever they want to hear, and then once we buy them, we do whatever the fuck we want. And that just melted me in my seat, like, oh shit, you did that to me. You got rid of my people. And so you learn from that, treat people fair. You can't please everybody. You can't pay them all the money they want.
Right.
But if they like you, people don't leave companies, people leave people.
Right.
And they trust you, and they believe you're going to treat them fairly. They tend to stick around. So I learned at that point that the key in this business, it's the people. Build around the people you have. It's, a lot of people say the what, then who. What do we want to do? Well, we want to open up an office in Dallas, and we're going to build a brand, and we're going to go after light industrial. Well, that sounds good. Who are you going to do it with?
Yeah.
well, we're going to run an ad, we're going to find a branch manager, and we're going to find a sales rep, and and I always say, no, you got to find the people first. I don't give a shit where they are.
Mm-hmm.
If you find the people, I'll roll the dice. And at our peak, I don't want to, I jump around on you, but we had 24 locations before I started going the other way and selling things off. But yeah, we started Liberty 10 years ago, and I learned it's just a matter of treating the people right. I mean, I still get texts from people that used to work for me, and it's nice.
Yeah.
Sure, there's some out there that don't like me, but I don't feel I've treated people unfairly along the way.
Right. No, it's amazing, and I mean, I know a lot of your team. I've met them over the last couple of years, and just all great people. And you can tell, like, everybody has this esprit de corps. They enjoy working there. They do their job and what they're doing, but it's more than that. Like, they enjoy being around each other too, and I think that's important. And
for the most part, they're tough. The business is tough. We always just tell people, if you come to work here, you're going to get your toes stepped on. You're going to get your feelings hurt. If you don't work and you're not, up to snuff and you're not pulling your weight, you're going to get run over.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a cultural thing. And I always tell people there's only room enough for one person to walk around and do nothing but talk, and that's me. Everybody else has got to actually work. And the funny part is, what you've noticed here, it's basically ladies.
Mm-hmm.
And in this business, I didn't believe it, but your lady down the hallway always said it to me that, hey, in staffing, there's wherever there's a man, there's a woman actually doing all the work. Men are lazy, and I said, oh, bull crap. But over time, you realize, the women do the work.
Yeah.
They really do.
Well, ironically, most of my team are women.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I've never had a problem with work ethic with any of them.
Yeah.
Which is strange. And not really with the guys either, but I know a lot more guys that have problems with work ethic, and yeah, I'd have to agree. 100%.
Yeah, you've always got to surround. My accountant always says, you're not a very detailed guy when it comes to contracts. You just kind of jump into things. I said, well, but if you look around me, I'm surrounded by detailed people, and that's the key. I think you have to know, and you have to look in the mirror and say, okay, what am I? Who am I?
Mm-hmm.
And what is that compared to what other people think? Because what you think of yourself sometimes is not what other people think of you. And once you become well-grounded, then you know what to bring around you. And I think that's the biggest part of people's success, that they don't truly understand who they are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and filling in the gaps of things we're not good at.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what's next for Liberty, and what do you see yourself in the next several years?
The industry is changing. There's a lot of recruiting apps out there. I almost liken it to the .coms, where you got a lot of people trying to do things easy way. Mm-hmm. Put an app on your phone, recruit. I'm not going to say their name, but a public company that we're talking to. There's quite a few companies we're talking to right now. Mm-hmm. That I'm always looking to do something bigger. Mm-hmm. A big part of it, I'm okay at this point in life, and you say, okay, why don't you step out? What are you doing? Enjoy the rest of your life. Well, I got something that most people don't have, and that's a lot of experience in something that most people can't do. Right. And so I feel I got a lot more to give, but you look at your folks and you say, okay, these people have given blood, sweat, and tears. No matter what we do, if we're going to get bigger, if we're going to grow, you want stability. And the staffing industry is quickly becoming very similar to the hardware industry, where there used to be a hardware store on every corner. Now there's Home Depot and Lowe's. Put them all out of business. Well, it's happening in staffing. The bigger getting bigger. You are in a recession. Mm-hmm. You are in a bear market. You've got interest rates going through the roof. It's the lay of the land. And I think as a business owner, as a person, you got to pay attention to it. Mm-hmm. And some people, you watch too much news and stuff like that. If you're not paying attention to what's going to happen in this environment, mm-hmm. then you're going to get run over, and you're going to get caught desperate, and you're going to get caught, losing your business. And so what I see happening is the bigger getting bigger, and I'm going to try to position us. We put together a deal about a year ago now with a competitor on the East Coast where we merged, financial operations again for stability, get better health insurance, 401k, more premium so we can't be canceled for workers' comp issues or lawsuits. You have somebody go bad debt, you're a bigger company, you can handle those blows. So what's next for Liberty is I think, finding the right company that's looking for a good group of leaders. I think we've got some pretty good leaders, and trying to take this thing to the next level from a stability standpoint, watching these app companies. I don't think I would mind getting involved with one of them because I think they're going to have a lot of trouble. Just had a conference call yesterday with somebody trying to get in the staffing industry, and they just don't know what they're doing. And when you start remotely recruiting, if you don't know what you're doing, how do you handle the safety risk of a job site?
Yeah.
How do you see these people? How do you know they're credible? And a lot of these apps, they haven't filled in that gap. It all sounds good and they've raised a lot of money, but what do they do next? So I don't know exactly what's next for us other than growth, stability, and there's safety and size right now. It really is. The little guy is going down. It's impossible for a small staffing company to do business, and it has no value. If you have 1 or 2 branches, you have no value, no exit strategy.
Awesome. So basically the next couple of years is just taking the opportunity to take what basically you already went through in 07, 08, right?
Exactly. I mean, I have multiple companies right now that we are talking to that would love nothing more than to combine and join. And it's almost like, they want big money for their companies, but it's kind of like, I don't know if you saw it, but the average new car right now, monthly payment is $657.
I didn't see the payment, but I saw the price.
Yeah, it's $657, the average monthly payment on a new car. And someone made a comment on a financial network that said, yeah, give me 6 months, they'll be begging us to buy a car. And it's kind of the same way with some of these staffing companies. Some that are, looking for top dollar.
I just haven't got real yet.
Give them 3 months, give them 6 months, and the prices are going to come down. And what happens in the end is they all say the same thing. I need stability for my people. I need a paycheck. I need benefits. And so that's where it's heading. There'll be a huge consolidation in the industry very soon. And I'm trying to position us to be a beneficiary of that.
Awesome. Well,
with the right partner.
And that comes with just time in the business and wisdom, seeing trends. Like you've already been through this, so doing it again. I'll never forget, I was with my wife's uncle he was very successful in his own right. He's still alive, but he sold these, but he was in commercial real estate. That's how he first started doing, on the side, just commercial real estate. And he's 78 now. And he told me, I bought and sold the same building 3 times. And I'm like, what do you mean you bought and sold the same building? But again, he had been around so long that he had sold when it was a good market to sell. He came back to the owners if they still had it when it was down, and he'd buy it again, and he'd wait it out. But he could do that. He had the time, the resources, and all that stuff. So I think a lot of that just comes with wisdom. So it sounds like you guys are poised to grow, and it's exciting.
Yeah, and we did that. I mean, when I left the CRS group in 2011, basically sat out a non-compete in the restaurant and went back into staffing and reopened in Florida. And we did very well and came out here in 2016 and sold the Florida operations in 2020.
Okay.
Just in the head of the curve of the pandemic.
Yeah.
I mean, we sold it, and it worked out very well at that time. And now my non-compete just ended June 1 and should be back in Florida soon.
Great.
So yeah, kind of a similar concept, I guess.
Awesome, man.
Keep doing it.
You've had a lot of success in your career, so congratulations on that. And I know it comes with a lot of time, stress, and things that people don't realize.
It's a blur.
Yeah.
The last 26 years have been a blur.
Well, wish much continued success, and we'll continue to work together. Guys, I know you got some value out of this. Make sure you comment if you got some questions for Vince. and then subscribe to our channel. We got lots of episodes coming up. So, we will see you next time.